the handsome liberal. We're gonna cue up TikTok in a second. So we're gonna be talking about what you're undoubtedly hearing, what you've probably heard many times before. But we want to ask, do you see this applying to the current environment, where folks often suggest that this is the most important election of our lifetime? So I want to ask you folks that. Do you see the environment we're in? Do you see the 2020 election coming up in some 11 months? I believe come January 4th, what, about a week away, we're looking at, I assume that would make it, what, 10 months? 10 months away. The election of 2024 is coming up on 10 months in the future. I'm asking that question as you see on the monitor behind me. Do you believe this is indeed the most important election of our lifetime? Now, I understand you hear that phrase during every election. Every single election that comes up, folks ask, or folks state, this is the most important election of your lifetime. But what about this one? 2024, whether it comes down to Trump versus Biden or some other entity, some other candidate. Now, most folks do believe it will be Trump versus Biden, barring, say, Biden having some health issues, or Trump having some health issues, or Trump having some legal issues. It does appear as if the Democrats are going to propel Biden to the top of the ticket, and the Republicans will do the same with Trump. But I want to just simply get on here this Christmas Eve, and Merry Christmas to all of you folks. Happy holidays to those who may not see me before the first of the year. Merry Christmas and happy holidays on both sides. What I want to ask you folks is, what are you expecting? What is your desires for 2024? Now, it's going to be a long year, folks. It's going to be a long year, particularly because President Trump is dealing with so many legal issues. So, in addition to seeing all of the election commercials that you're starting to see now, particularly from those who have a lot of money, you're seeing a hell of a lot of Nikki Haley commercials and commercials on behalf of President Trump, because that's where the money is. But you might see a few others coming from a few other candidates, but it looks like Ron DeSantis is on his way out. Chris Christie is in it simply as a spoiler measure. I don't know where Vivek Ramaswamy will end up, other than likely part of the Trump administration. Hell, for all you know, he could end up on the ticket. Trump Ramaswamy, that is possible. But I wanted to run this by you folks. What are you expecting? What are your desires for 2024? This is going to kind of be an open forum, simply because we're starting out with that question. In your opinion, is this indeed the most important election of our lifetime? As always, you know how I run the program. The program is, always will remain MAGA friendly in its entirety. MAGA are always my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are always welcome on the program as well. So that's kind of how we run the program. Once again, we don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. So understand, when you're in the box, whether you're communicating with the host and you have a disagreement, nobody gives a damn. It's always about free speech here. Looking in the comments, RFK Jr. 2024, Biden can't win. Would RFK do better than President Biden? I have a difficult time seeing that for two reasons. One, MAGA is not straying from Trump. I don't give a damn what RFK Jr. is offering or talking about. MAGA is not going to pick RFK as a decent alternative for Trump. I think they would probably go with Vivek Ramaswamy over RFK. So he's not going to get any type of leeway into the Republican Party. And when it comes to the Democratic Party, well, can he beat Biden? And once again, just like with Trump, I don't think so, because RFK isn't promoting any of the top issues. He's not discussing any of the top issues that the Democratic Party are concerned with. So I just don't see it. I mean, the folks on the right are really concerned with the border, the economy. Folks on the left are concerned. Abortion rights, for instance, is a big one. I don't hear RFK really out there discussing any of the major issues. He's talking about COVID vaccinations and things like that. It depends on how you feel about it. We can discuss that, but that's not at the top of anybody's list at this point. Whether you believe you should be vaccinated or not, you should have a choice or not, they should be pushing the vax or not. That's not at the top of any of the voters' list right now in 2023 going into 2024. Maybe if he was running in a race 3-4 years ago, that would have been different, but that time is not there anymore. Looking in the comments, make California great again. Vote for America. Trump 2024. Well, the problem with Trump in California is Californians lean left, and Trump is not promoting any of the concerns that people on the left are interested in. I don't see California going for Trump by any facet of the imagination. You see, they went for Gavin Newsom. Hell, they even went for Arnold Schwarzenegger, and even he doesn't favor President Trump. I will state this. I believe Trump at this point has moved too far to the right for a state like California. I just think he's moved too far to the right for that state. There are other states maybe, but not California. Going to the comment section, I do appreciate you folks rolling with your boy here on Christmas Eve. Like I said, Merry Christmas to all of you. It's kind of an open forum. Just wanted to get in here and chat with you folks because they're saying it again. Most important election of our lifetime. What do you think? Cali needs a wall around it, says Mars, the deaf, blind Aussie. Listen, I used to live in Australia, 5 years in Brisbane, lived in the suburbs of Sydney, Campbelltown, Mount Edith. California needs a wall around it. Why do you say that? Being an Aussie, I'd be curious to hear that. Trump can't complete a sentence. I've never heard that in conjunction with President Trump. Really? I don't know. Does Trump stumble over his words? I think that, even though I lean left, I think that comment fits more with Biden than it does with Trump. But if you want to correct me, feel free to do so in the comments. There's not going to be an election. Trump will be president, period, says keep vibing positivity. The way you state that does not sound like it works in concert with democracy. There's not going to be an election. Trump will be president, period. Sounds like something they would say in regards to Kim Jong-un or maybe Vladimir Putin or maybe the Ayatollah Khomeini. That sounds really dictator-like. I'm going to assume, keep vibing positivity that you are in favor of a dictatorship simply by the way you worded that. Trump doesn't speak in complete sentences, says Faith London. Listen, these are older men, both Trump and Biden, deep into the elderly years. But if you're going to criticize Trump, suggesting that he doesn't speak in complete sentences when his opposition is Biden is not really doing Trump. I mean, you're not really hurting Trump, in my opinion. There's just too much material to bring up on Biden. I'm not here to pretend like Trump doesn't make grammatical errors, create words that do not exist, you name it. But his competition is Biden. So understand that. Please, it's Christmas. Give it a rest, says Rolo. Why? Listen, politics never sleeps. Would you rather we talk about Santa coming down the chimney, bringing gifts? Would that be more pleasurable to talk about Santa on this Christmas Eve? Let your boy know. RFK Jr. and Cornell is a pipe dream. I concur. No money to get ballot access in all 50 states. And I believe the reason they don't have money to get ballot access in all 50 states is people with the money realize they won't get the votes. It would be a waste of money. And I'll add by simply saying some of the donors that were contributing to Ron DeSantis are starting to back out. No need to throw away money for nothing. People can see, what, regardless of what you get on the podium and say, people can see if there is value in their campaign contributions. And my guess is folks are starting to realize that Ron DeSantis has no chance. Now, Chris Christie has even less of a chance. However, a lot of the money going to Chris Christie could be Democratic money. Chris Christie is in it as a spoiler, and I think most of the folks that are supporting Chris Christie realizes that. So it could be a case with Chris Christie where money is being donated with no expectation of victory. The expectation is to continue hammering Trump and being willing to state what folks believe is the truth. And I'll tell you the reason to do that. The more because Chris Christie is only speaking really to conservatives, traditional conservatives, not necessarily MAGA, but some MAGA show up at his gatherings. But the purpose of continuing to energize Christie is to hopefully flip Republican votes to any of the other candidates. So I do believe there's a lot of money that still might go to Chris Christie because he has a different job. He's not in it to win it. He has a different job. Looking in the comments, let's have a Trump-Biden debate. That would be great, says Vincent Lubrano. Listen, I'm a big fan of debates. I would love to see those two debate. However, if I'm the publicist or the agent for Biden, if I'm giving Biden, I would tell him don't go. And I understand folks on the right would say he's a coward, he's in his basement or whatever. Maybe, maybe not. But I will state that Trump has opened the door to skipping debates. Now, folks who support Trump will say, well, he was up 50 points, so he didn't have to show up. We can talk about that all day long. Fact is, he broke the tradition by not showing up to a debate. So if he can come up with a reason why he didn't show up, Biden's reason may be different. You may disagree with it, but Trump has shown if I don't want to show up, I don't have to. So Biden now has that door to go through. He can skip the debate, and Trump complaining that Biden didn't show up to a debate is not a good messenger. You didn't show up to your last debate. So I don't think, and Chris Christie brought that up, that Trump not showing up to the debate would open the door for Biden to do just that. If I'm advising Biden, knowing he skips on words, knowing that that's what Trump is going to hammer him on and things like that, I wouldn't advise him to show up. I mean, you're not going to really sway a lot of voters anyway. People have their minds made up. Folks on the right are not going to vote for Biden. Folks on the left are not going to vote for Trump. Very, very few people are going to be swayed by a debate between those two. So if I'm advising Biden, I would tell him don't show up. Not to mention, just like during the last debate when Trump, or better yet, Biden yelled, "Won't you shut up, man?" Fact is, Trump makes a really good debater for the simple fact that he doesn't follow the rules of the debate, and the individuals that are trying to debate him are trying to look professional and follow the rules. It's like getting in a boxing ring and trying to engage in a gentleman's sport when your competitor is kicking, is doing all these things that goes against the rules, and for the most part, the audience is cheering him on. So you're trying to figure out, do I break the rules like him when my followers are not going to favor that? So in my opinion, he shouldn't show up. Looking in the comments, Trump can't answer the question without deflecting, says William Anderson. But it works, though. But it works. And I got a few clips we can talk about in regards to deflecting. Understand the box is open. Tap the screen. Merry Christmas to all. Get your boy up to 10,000. Couple hundred of you in here. I don't expect the audience to get to be too big due to the actual day it is. But you were talking, one of you folks mentioned in regards to the deflect. And I want you to hear this. Tell me if you think this is vintage Trump or if this is out of bounds. I want you to hear this.
Fox News gave up on Ron DeSanctimonious. He's turned out to be a disaster. Now they're pushing Bird Brain. You know who that is? Nikki Haley. They just haven't learned, and probably they never will. It's just not happening. Kim Reynolds of Iowa has gone from a popular governor to the most unpopular governor in the entire United States of America. Not an easy feat. Her endorsement of Ron DeSanctimonious, who is 50 points down to me in the polls, has given him a...
Real quick, we're only 26 seconds in. Ron DeSanctimonious, Kim Reynolds of Iowa is an unpopular governor, and he's called Nikki Haley Bird Brain. Bird Brain. Is this legitimate politics or is it out of bounds? What say you?
Exactly 0 bounce. He's a wounded bird falling violently from the sky.
Ron DeSantis is a wounded bird falling from the sky. We are talking, not one of these individuals is a liberal. These are prominent members of the Republican Party. Bird brain. Oh my God.
I wonder what position Kim was promised in order to back someone who is so far down in the polls. I got Iowa first in the nation, ethanol security, and $28 billion for our great farmers in Iowa and Nebraska and Wisconsin and many other farmers.
It's not much longer than that, but I wanted you to hear that bird brain just one more time, real quick.
Fox News gave up on Ron DeSanctimonious. He's turned out to be a disaster. Now they're pushing bird brain. You know who that is? Nikki Haley. They just haven't learned, and probably they never will. It's just not happening. Kim Reynolds.
Okay, so I mentioned Ron DeSanctimonious, Kim Reynolds being the most unpopular governor in bird brain, but I just, in playing that again, realized the whole thing was an effort to criticize Fox News. So he criticized four different prominent members or the Fox News organization in the first 12 seconds of that video. 12 seconds. That's how he opened that up. Wow. All right, let me look in the comment section. Wow. He's salty. He knows Nikki Haley is a AIPAC push for the GOP nominee. You think that Nikki Haley could potentially beat Trump for the whole thing in terms of the Republican Party? You think she's on course to do that much damage, huh? Wow. Okay. Do you think any moderator would have a chance of keeping a control with Trump-Biden debate? No. Kenny Hayward, no, I don't. And I'll tell you this. If a moderator does their job and tries to control Trump and Biden, particularly the right, now you may hear this on the left as well, but particularly the right will say that the moderator was a liberal. Any type of effort to silence Trump, tell him his time is up, any type of pushback on Trump, then you're just a liberal. You're a rhino. If it's a Republican moderator like a Megyn Kelly or somebody, then you're a rhino. If it's a liberal, then yeah, they're going to criticize the person from the start, which is why even though I believe Gavin Newsom lost that debate to Ron DeSantis, in my opinion, I think Gavin Newsom lost that debate. I give him credit for showing up with a moderator like Sean Hannity. There is no middle ground for Sean Hannity. There's no hiding where his political affiliation lies. I don't believe you could get someone like Trump to show up to a debate where, Rachel Maddow was the host of it, because that would be the left version of Sean Hannity. It would be some Joy Behar from The View or somebody like that. I mean, Sean Hannity is as solid of a conservative as you can get. I mean, he has Trump's personal number. He is as solid as you can get. I don't think that you would ever get Trump to show up to a debate with a solid liberal like Sean Hannity is a solid conservative. It just would not happen. Looking in the comments, Newsom won that debate, says, okay, listen, that's what we're doing here is we're debating. If you think that Gavin Newsom won, fair enough. I believe he lost, but at the same time, as I pointed out with Sean Hannity, he was handicapped by the fact you're taking on once. You're taking on two people at once. You got Sean Hannity putting up all sorts of slides questioning Gavin Newsom, and every slide he put up was anti-California and spoke favorably of Florida. That's what the moderator is doing. That's not Ron DeSantis. That's Sean Hannity presenting negative information about California and asking Gavin Newsom to explain it, and really just speaking positively of Florida and not really giving, Ron DeSantis any type of, not really pushing back on Ron DeSantis. I mean, California is a mess. We're not going to pretend like it's not. However, Jacksonville, Florida, the crime rate is off the chain. You hear liberal cities and all this crime. Well, that's your state. Just because you got a liberal mayor in your city, that's your state. They're committing state crimes. If you go and murder somebody in Jacksonville, that's not a city crime, that's a state crime. You're the governor of this state. Why is there so much crime in your state? That's not something Sean Hannity would have asked Ron DeSantis, but he would ask it to Gavin Newsom. So he was indeed debating two people at once. Where's the integrity in MAGA? Depends on your definition of integrity. A lot of folks believe that President Trump has been bashed by the liberals so much that he has the right to do this stuff. A lot of folks believe that. You bring up the tweets, well, they attacked him first. He's only fighting back. So depends on what your definition of integrity is. And user 317 says most cities are liberal. That is true. That is absolutely true. That's why when you hear folks on the right talking about how bad liberal cities are, the instant pushback is to just simply ask them, well, give me a conservative city to compare it to. Because there really is none. You can talk about how bad Chicago or New York or Los Angeles is. Well, give me a conservative city that's doing better. There really isn't any. I mean, any conservative city is going to be a fraction of the size of Los Angeles, a fraction of the budget, a fraction of any of that stuff. There's no conservative city to compare it to. So fair enough. Indiana is right next to Illinois. Yeah, that is true. That is absolutely true. Go live in Cali if you think Gavin is great. Yeah. Well, you could also say the same thing about Mississippi. If you think the Republicans are great, go live in Mississippi. It is dirt poor. Very few opportunities in the state. If you think the Republicans are great, go live in Mississippi. If you notice, think about it. This is how politics work. When you hear folks talking about the failures of the liberal party, California, New York, Chicago, places that are having problems. Colorado is a liberal city, a liberal state rather. They're not having any major problems. You don't hear a lot coming out of Denver. So they ignore that. They only pick out the worst ones. The same thing when it comes to Republican areas. Texas is being ran great. The economy in Florida is awesome. Okay, but what's going on in West Virginia? How's Louisiana? Well, they don't bring it up. I mean, what about all the folks who have no health care in Louisiana or things? It doesn't come up. So you can play politics to make any point make sense. Point out the good Republican states and the bad liberal cities. And it'll make sense all day long. But Denver is not a bad city. Colorado's not a bad liberal state. It's not a lot bad going on. And as a result, they just ignore it and go to the other ones where there are bad problems. I live in California and I see the truth, and Democrats ruined it. We have to deal with ultra woke DA. Yeah, but Jake, NBA, I just asked you that question. If the Democrats are ruining California, who's ruining Mississippi? Mississippi is dirt poor. The education system is awful. Very few people have health insurance. No liberals in sight. Who's ruining that state? You don't even hear the Republicans talking about Mississippi. It doesn't even come up in conversation. So you can find bad liberal states. You can find bad Republican states. Looking in the comments, Chicky Chop says because it's the three largest cities with the most people are run by Democrats. Okay, so that means you actually excuse areas where there's less people at, which are most Republican areas. There are no big, heavily populated Republican areas. So if your goal to point out the fallacies of the liberals is to target big areas, as I said before, there are no Republican areas to compare them to. Look at the map during any election. Look at all the areas that vote red versus the areas that vote blue. The areas that vote red are typically rural areas. They're not going to have big cities in them. So you get to exclude that. Well, they don't have a lot of population, so we only talk about the big cities. Well, then the Democrats lead the conversation every time, which also should lead you to ask the simple question, why is it that big cities with big populations, even if they're being ran horribly, as some on the right would say, why do they keep voting Democrat? What is it about the Republican Party that even homeless cities are avoiding like the plague? Is that not a worthy question to answer? If these cities are being ran so horrible, you're telling me a Republican can't win, huh? Why is that? That's a problem. Looking in the question, liberal, Republican, why does it matter? All politicians are trash and don't care about the people. All right, Tower Hill, a lot of folks agree with you, but then we'll have a debate from a standpoint of which one is the lesser of the two evils. If you believe both Republicans and Democrats are trash, like I said, a lot of folks do agree with you, but one of them is going to be a little bit closer to what you want than the other. They're not running on the same platforms. So then we turn to asking you questions like, do you believe in God? Do you believe a woman should have a right to choose, or do you promote protecting the sanctity of life? How do you feel about the Second Amendment? What do you think about the border? Then we start asking you questions, and one of these sides, even though you think they're both trash, one of them is going to be closer to how you feel than the other. Then you got to go with that. There's not just two ways to see things, says Oz. Oh, sometimes there is. Sometimes there is. Depend. Do you believe you should have Second Amendment rights or not? Do you believe, a baby is a life at conception? There's not a lot of ways to see that. Yes or no? I mean, well, I don't see. It's either yes or no. So there are just two ways to see a lot of this stuff. Is Donald Duck gonna be housed at Penitentiary Atlanta? What the hell are you saying, Cheeky Chops? On YouTube, we're running it on, there's a simulcast on both sides. Program is always also being ran on YouTube. By the way, TikTok, tap the screen, got almost 300 of you in here. Merry Christmas, certainly happy holidays if I don't see you before the turn of the calendar year. Tap the screen, get your boy up to about 20,000. You know what I always say, program is, forever will remain MAGA friendly, brings in more MAGA. I don't know what's going on, the box either is down or I don't know, but normally the box is going right now. Understand, if you do come in the box, we're all about free speech. We don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. So you don't have to agree with the host. In fact, you feel free to tell the host, I don't agree with you. Just be prepared to explain why. Looking in the comments here, Trump is like Batman at this point. Explain that. Explain that. I don't quite get that. I just want to look in the comment. How many Trump GATs do you have? What is a Trump GAT? I don't know what that is. Well, Harlan Crow and Leonard Leo tell SCOTUS how to vote on Trump ballots issues. I hope no one is telling the SCOTUS how to vote, but looking at Clarence Thomas, for instance, the way he was going to handle Trump's claim that the election was stolen and his wife is operating in the background, working with the Trump campaign. The oldest black man on the Supreme Court. I don't trust that guy. I understand maybe it's the liberal in me or whatever, but I do not trust that Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas is just simply deciding based on his own principles in interpretation of the law. He's a conservative. So there's nothing wrong with, Justice Roberts or Kavanaugh or Amy Coney Barrett. If you believe in conservative principles, that's kind of what we're expecting you to do. However, I believe Clarence Thomas, Justice Thomas, is kind of like what Vivek Ramaswamy said at the debate, bought and paid for. I don't believe that Clarence Thomas is simply voting based on how he feels in the way he interprets the law. I do believe he is a puppet for right-wing dollars. I do believe he's a puppet for right-wing money. I don't necessarily see Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett and Roberts and the rest of them like that. But with what came out, with the information that came about from Clarence Thomas, yeah, I do believe that he is bought and paid for. Looking back in the comments, and it's terrible that can happen. It is that his wife was communicating with the Trump administration and things like that. Cheeky Chop says, I trust Clarence. Yeah, I'm sure you do. You trust Clarence to be loyal to Trump. You trust Clarence to do what you want. Yeah, I would trust somebody too if I could pay him off. I do believe that Clarence Thomas is not just, as I said, I don't think he's just judging based on his belief of conservative principles. I do believe he is taking things, being rewarded under the table and receiving compensation for the way he rules. I really do believe that. And that is, if you are on the right, that damn sure is a reason to trust him because he's been bought off. His mama will whoop that ass. I don't know about all that. Looking in the comments here, Joe has been paid off, boy. Well, evidence helps. Evidence helps. And by the way, if Joe Biden is being bought and paid for, my first question is by who do you think is buying and paying him off? Feel free to state an answer. I'm not going, like I said, I don't block, ban, or censor. We'll debate if Joe Biden is bought and paid for. But by pointing out that you believe Joe Biden is bought and paid for and not saying anything about Clarence Thomas, you understand that does count as a deflection. Because you didn't defend Clarence Thomas. You just, well, there's a liberal bought and paid for it too. You're not even defending Clarence Thomas. You're pretty much conceding that one, but then deflecting and saying, well, you can't complain about Thomas because I think the president is bought and paid for it too. All right. Joe Biden created more jobs than any other stock market. Wait, Joe Biden created more jobs than any other, assuming you mean president. The stock market is the highest ever in history. And I have heard those things, but I will tell you this. Perception is reality. Plain and simple, perception is reality. You can tell somebody you're doing something for them. You may be 100% accurate. But if the person does not feel it, their reality is that what you're saying is bullshit. Perfect example with Joe Biden bragging about the stock market. I often compare him to President Trump, suggesting that he's done more for black people than any president in history. The perception among African Americans is not that that's real. If whether or not it happened or not, we can debate it, but the perception among the minority community is that that's bullshit. In regards to Biden with the stock market can be soaring, but what if you don't own stock? You think that means anything to people who don't own stock? Most Americans, other than retirement, are not really counting their dollars based on what the stock market is doing. That's meaningless to the average hardworking American. So Biden can brag about that all day. You're not going to get any kudos for most of the working party that votes Democrat. They're not dealing with the stock market. All you have to do is look, and he said all you have to do is look at it. Like I said, the stock market. You realize how many people out here now have jobs that don't even give them a retirement package, no 401 contribution at all. Most jobs don't offer a pension. Bragging about the stock market to lower earners is meaningless. It is completely meaningless to them. If they haven't saw their salaries go up, they haven't saw any of the benefits that they feel are tangible. That stock market shit means nothing to them. Trump, less jobs than any other president in history. What are you saying? Trump lost jobs? The jobs numbers under Trump were really, really good as well. Really good. In fact, Trump broke some records as well, or actually 3.5% unemployment rate. Trump's economy was really good during the first half, 70, 80% of his term until the pandemic hit. So both of them have good economic numbers. However, you could actually see and feel Trump's numbers better than Biden's, because most of Biden's term, the numbers were not great. They're really good now. They've gotten much better now, but people are still going to the grocery store and their perception is this shit ain't cheap. They're not seeing that. Under Trump, the price for goods and services was much cheaper. So Biden's economy doesn't have the same perception as Trump's did. Look, Obama gave Trump a good economy. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. However, as I say all the time, Trump did not screw up Obama's economy. So he gets credit for that. I don't like the notion that we're not going to give Trump any credit for his economy because he got a great economy from Obama, knowing that if he screwed it up, you'd be all over him. So what you're basically saying when you have that mindset is the only grade I would give Trump is a bad one. He gets no good grades because the economy was already good. The only grade he can get is a neutral or a bad one. That's not fair to any president. I mean, he had the ability to screw the economy up. He didn't. That's because he inherited a good economy. He had to maintain it for several years. He gets credit for that. I believe he should, at least. What did he do to improve the economy? The job numbers got better under Trump. What he inherited from Obama, though, it continued to get better under Trump. And then, of course, you're going to have folks, even though the tax cuts for the lower half they had a sunset period. For the upper half, they last a lot. They're infinite. Well, people are going to vote and say they felt that. They felt that. Those tax cuts hit under the Trump economy. Even if you're on the lower half where they only last for 10 years or what, people felt that. So those are things that folks will say, well, I favor Trump's economic policies. Perception is reality. Looking in the comments here, Biden is down with the Russians. Cheeky chops. No way in hell you believe that. No way in hell you believe Biden. Here's the issue. You can't complain that Biden is wrong for sending millions of dollars to the Ukrainians, and then at the same time say the man is down with the Russians. Those two comments don't work together. If you're down with the Russians, the first thing they would do is tell you to abandon Ukraine. So that makes absolutely no sense at all. Global inflation in regards to global inflation, Jenkins, I'm not denying that the problems we're dealing with under the Biden administration are not unique to America. A lot of it is globally based, particularly with the Ukraine issue going on. That affects the economy. That affects the metrics worldwide. However, I am a strong believer that when you're the coach of the team, you get credit for wins and losses, no matter how they happen. If your players get injured, you get credit for those losses as a coach. People don't look back, wait, this person got injured, that person got injured, or that person got caught cheating on their wives, so they missed games. Nobody's looking at it all. Either you had a winning record as a coach or you did not. Global, yeah, but it's happening under his watch. If globally things just got great and America benefited as a result of what was going on globally, you don't think Biden and Kamala would take credit for that? So if it goes the other way, they get criticized for it. That's how it happens. When you are the coach of a team, you get credit for the wins and losses, no matter how they happen. If the team wins, even if the coach was off, he gets a ring, he gets the Gatorade, he gets all of that. That's how it works. Trump wishes he could be a dictator. Not on my watch, says Hey Vern. You know, in considering how many of these conversations I have with the amount of MAGA I talk to, and by the way, nobody's tapping the screen, so let me go ahead and solicit that. Get your boy up to 20,000 likes. We're hovering around 300 people. It is indeed a holiday. People are busy doing other things. Minnesota is currently beating Detroit. What? Since I started talking to you folks, it was 17-10. Detroit was winning. Now they're down 21-10. Wow. Okay, but anyway, people are watching the game and things like that. It looks like Detroit just scored a touchdown, so I think Detroit may have, 23-20. Wow. Okay. Didn't expect that. I'm talking to you guys not paying attention to the game behind me, but that was a shock. Let me get back to what I was about to give you guys a clip, but wow, I didn't think that they were going to do that.
6 rioters who were convicted of federal offenses.
I want you to pardon many of them. I wanted you to hear every single one. Hang on a second. Let me rewind this clip. The question I want to discuss with you folks also is about Trump and the 14th Amendment. Now, obviously, there are no shortage of people that believe that Trump did not violate the 14th Amendment, because clearly if he did, we know the 14th Amendment prevents him from being president again. But I want you guys to hear a clip, and if I can get it to play, we'll talk about it on the side.
The January 6 rioters who were convicted of federal offenses.
I am inclined to pardon many of them. I can't say for every single one, because a couple of them probably they got out of control. But, you know, when you look at Antifa, what they've done to Portland, and if you look at Antifa, look at what they've done to Minneapolis and so many other places. Look at what they did to Seattle and BLM. Many people were killed. These people, I'm not trying to justify anything. But you have...
Real quick, he says I'm not trying to justify anything. Then why the hell is BLM and Antifa coming up? He asked you in regards to the folks who participated criminally in the protests on January 6th, are you considering pardoning them? And then he goes into this tirade about Antifa and what they got away with in Black Lives Matter and what they got away with and how people were killed. And he goes, well, I'm not trying to justify. Then why is it coming up? Why, if you're not trying, and I do agree with you, Ella Faye Davis in the comments saying, who died? Yeah, I don't know anybody that died due to Black Lives Matter protests, but not going too deep into that, the question goes back, why is it even coming up? Everybody knows that President Trump and most of my beloved MAGA believes that what Black Lives Matter is doing is wrong. Most of the folks on the right believe Black Lives Matter is nothing short of a terrorist outfit. So if you believe Black Lives Matter is absolutely wrong and harmful to the country, and then they ask you about the January 6th protesters, and that's the first group you bring up, it makes it look like you're picking what you feel is a bad category of protesters to compare your guys to. The fact that you're bringing up people that you think are terrorists as a defense makes it look like you don't think what they did on January 6th was that good. Why not compare them to the Million Man March or the Women's March where nothing happened? Why are you comparing them to people that you said are terrorists that were burning down cities and things like that? You shouldn't even be comparing them to them if you think what happened on January 6th was a peaceful protest. You're picking what you believe are the worst group of people. But it's crazy that he says, I'm not trying to defend them, because that's exactly what he's doing.
Have two standards of justice in this country, and what they've done, and I love that question, because what they've done to so many people is nothing. And then what they've done to these people, they've persecuted these people. And yeah, my answer is, I am most likely, if I get in, I would say it will be a large portion of them,
Will you pardon?
No, he's talking about he would pardon a large portion of them if he gets in. The reason I asked you that question, and we're talking about the 14th Amendment. Now, feel free to state what you have to say in the comments. I'll read it. So he's talking out of both sides of his neck, says Faith London. Yeah, it does appear to be that way. He spoke about some doing wrong just like the Black Lives Matter. So what? No, he calls Black Lives Matter a terrorist outfit. He never suggests that, quote unquote, some Black Lives Matter are doing wrong. He believes the entire outfit is bad. So your comment there, Tritter, I don't believe that's correct. That's his right to speak, and that's all he did was speak, says Al Newt. 100% is his right to speak. 100% he has a right to do so. But I want you to hear this. This is the provisions of the 14th Amendment that he's being accused of violating, at least by the state of Colorado, and I think 13 other states are trying to do this, but we know Colorado has already completed the process of suggesting he violated the 14th Amendment. Here you go, just one paragraph here. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, can be civil or military, under the United States or under any state who, having previously taken an oath, and we know he took an oath, as a member of Congress or as an officer of any state. It concludes by saying, to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same. Now, here's the big part I want to talk about, because this applies to that video. Or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, may remove such disability. The reason I highlighted in my statement, given aid or comfort, Trump hasn't been charged with insurrection. And that's a big pushback from many folks in defense of Trump. How can you, tackle on the 14th Amendment? He hasn't been charged with the crime yet. And he certainly hasn't been convicted of it. So how could you remove him from the ballot on the grounds of the 14th Amendment? Well, I just gave you the verbiage that's stated in the 14th Amendment. And this comes on congress.gov. I'm not getting this off of Fox or CNN or MSNBC somewhere. This is on congress.gov's own website. And this is an actual quote. Give aid or comfort. If he is suggesting that he is going to pardon the folks that are in jail, most of them, as he said in that quote. Now, Trump hasn't been charged with insurrection at all, but the leader of the Proud Boys, the leader of the Oath Keepers have, and they have been officially convicted of it. They are currently serving time for it right now. If you pardon convicted insurrectionists, how is that not giving aid or comfort? Because that's what it says, giving aid or comfort to the enemies thereof, enemies of the United States. They've been officially convicted of it. So that's what we're talking about. Now, obviously, he has not pardoned them yet. for the simple fact that he cannot pardon them. He doesn't have the power to do it, but he's making the promise. So I suppose you could leave him alone, let him win the presidency, and then if he pardoned them, you could then hit him up for it. But he's making it clear he's going to do it. He's making it clear it's very likely that he would pardon those folks. And they've been charged and convicted of the very crime of violating the 14th Amendment. And make no mistake about it, the leader of the Proud Boys or the leader of the Oath Keepers, they would not be able to serve in public office because of what they have. They would not be able to serve. So how is he? And then I see in the comments, Go Hard in the Paint, love the name always, states that he did a music video with them as well. Now, the music video did very well on iTunes, meaning somebody made money off of that video. Did he pass any of the money on to the convicted? I don't know. I'm not going to speculate and say he did or he didn't, but the idea that you cannot provide aid or give comfort, and I assume just simply telling them you would pardon them if you get elected is also giving comfort. Now, I understand many folks may push back and say he's not comforting, but if you were the leader of the Proud Boys, or you were the leader of the Oath Keepers spending double-digit years in prison, and the leading candidate running for president is on television saying, if I win, I'm going to pardon a lot of these people. You telling me that wouldn't comfort you at all? You wouldn't feel a little better going to sleep at night? Because you know fair time is like 85%. You got to do 85% of that. I think one of those people got 18. The Oath Keepers and what was the other one? Whatever. One got 18 years, the other one got 20. And I think you have to do about 85% of that in the feds. So you got one candidate saying that if he wins, he'll consider pardoning you. You're telling me there's no comfort in that? That doesn't give you any hope? Knowing that he's a 50%, he has a 50% lead on all of your other Republican candidates. So I do believe the aid or comfort provision in this 14th Amendment is a point someone could argue. It's definitely a point someone could argue. He is giving aid. That is what he's doing, says old A. Smith. Yeah, my opinion, that is certainly a legitimate point that could be argued. Because it's hard to believe that the leader of the Oath Keepers or Proud Boys have not heard about this and felt a little bit better off. I mean, it's not a guarantee you're going to get out, but it would give you some comfort. That is an additional amount of hope. If he wins, we're not going to do 18 to 22 years. That is a guarantee. Not that he would pardon them, but at the very least, their sentences are going to drop. He's made it clear he thinks the people, the January 6th arrestees, he's made it clear he thinks that most of them were mistreated. There's no denying that if you're serving time, you would feel happy hearing him say that. Aid or comfort. Says it clear as day there. You cannot give aid or comfort. That violates the 14th Amendment. You don't need to be charged with it. You don't need to be convicted of it. All you do is need to give aid or comfort to somebody else, that is. Aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. They've been convicted of sedition. They are the enemies thereof, the leaders of the Oath Keepers and the leader of the Oath Keeper and the leader of the Proud Boys. They are officially the enemy thereof. And he's giving aid and comfort to them. Looking on the Cheeky, I see the Uber destination filter. Good luck with that shit. Good luck. There's a bunch in jail for years with no trial yet. How's that even right, says Practical Discipleship. It's not right. It's not right. And if they are being locked up for what happened on January 6th, and they haven't had a speedy trial and things like that, I'm not saying that that is right at all. However, I take odds at the fact that a lot of things that President Trump, my beloved MAGA, and folks on the right are complaining about are complaints that people have been lodging for years and being ignored. You know how many people are in that situation that are locked up, did not get a speedy trial? You know how many people that's been happening to, particularly minorities, for the last 5-6 decades or longer? All of a sudden it happens to MAGA and we can see it now? Really? I'm not saying that what if some of them are locked up and they haven't gotten a trial, they've been I'm not saying that that may not be the case. I'm just pointing out this is nothing new. Same thing with Trump and folks that support Trump suggesting that the FBI is being politicized and coming after him. Is that new? Is this the first time you've ever heard anybody complain that the FBI is going after somebody that they shouldn't be? Did you care before it happened to Trump? Were you willing to go out and protest about it? That's all I'm asking. This stuff is not new. It's like we don't give a damn, but now that it's happening to Trump, we suddenly do. Finally feeling the effects of what others have been feeling in decades. Yeah, Miss Love, that's all I'm saying. I don't think there is a single complaint that Trump or his supporters are lodging that hasn't been lodged for at least several decades continuously. Several decades continuously. Hoover was doing all of that stuff to Martin Luther King. Nobody gave a damn. I mean, seriously, there's nothing Trump is saying that is happening to him that people haven't been saying that these organizations have been doing all along. Liberals always play race card. They keep racism alive and well, says Toro official. You know, I guess the issue I have to wonder is if you don't bring up racism, does it just go away? I mean, folks will suggest in 2023 there is no racism, or that minorities are the ones that are racist and whites are the victim. I don't know. But I do believe that if you feel you're being mistreated, you should let no one interfere with your ability to speak out about it. I'm all about free speech. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Period. If you're wrong about the police or you're wrong about stopping frisking, yeah, but you should get your point out. I don't believe you should let anybody silence you. We do know victims of racism, not in 2023, not in 1953, not in 1903, have been allowed to speak out. The conversation we're having now in 2023, you could have had this conversation 150 years ago. People were telling you then this stuff is not a major issue. Martin Luther King would go to towns and I don't know why you're coming down here stirring up these colored folks. Things were fine until you came here. There has never been a time in America where people openly stated we are racist and we are mistreating people. So maybe it's not happening in 2023, but you have to understand it's going to be suspect because it's not like we were admitting it when it was happening. We were denying it then too. You can just simply think about it. Out of all of the politicians we've had throughout American history, and we know racism existed at some point, how many of them have you ever heard come out and say, I don't like this group of people? How often most cases, they were denying it, even some of the darkest times in America. Well, I really don't hate this group. I just think they should stay over there and we should stay over here. Or I think they should marry their kind and we should marry our own to preserve our bloodline. Nobody's ever admitted it. So the conversation you're having now, where you're suggesting that you're keeping this alive, they were telling that to Martin Luther King. If you just stopped talking about it, we wouldn't have these problems. So I don't know where to go with that because as one musician once said, it sounds like the same song. I don't know. Every single era there has been, you've had folks complaining about racism, complaining about the police, and the overwhelming response, particularly from the white community, was, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no clue what you're talking about. Looking in the comments, though, but this is also the reason Trump is gaining support. So many believe the judicial system is corrupt. But why did it take for Trump for them to realize this? As I just stated before, people have been complaining about the judicial system since the beginning of America's history. I mean, since there was a judicial system in this country. Is it just because Trump is a different type of person? I mean, people always have been complaining about the judicial system. That's not new. Jordan Maines maybe has the answer here. He says people noticed it when it happened to Trump because he stood for us. You understand that comment could be interpreted in some pretty dark ways, such as, I didn't give a damn about the judicial system mistreating people until it was somebody I thought that was on my side. As long as it was happening to other people, those, them, they, others, I didn't give a damn. But Trump stood for me, so I notice it now that it's happening. You do realize it could be your comment could be interpreted that way. Look it in the comments. Lil Cheeky Chop says Lil Dookie State. What does that even mean? Victims of Thug Nation. Now, we're talking about racism, and you throw the word thug in there. Just understand certain words invoke certain thoughts. Maybe not to all, but to most. Give you some examples. Illegal immigrant. You don't think Chinese, you typically think Hispanic. In America, somebody say illegal immigrants, you typically think Hispanics. Racist, you typically think whites. Thugs, you typically think black people. I mean, there's certain terrorists, you typically think Middle Easterners. That's kind of the way. So when you throw Thug Nation in there, understand where the mindset goes when you say something like that. Looking in the comments though, no, he would have possibly corrected the legal system that had been corrupted well before. And mind your business. I like the name, but we're having a conversation in regards to Trump correcting the legal system that has been corrupted well before. And I don't see where he was even trying to do that. The only correction I see Trump doing to the legal system is in regards to issues that face him. If Trump wasn't being attacked by the legal system in his own opinion, I don't think he would be changing much at all. In fact, he is a proponent of stop and frisk. When Rudolph Giuliani was stopping and frisking people, when Sheriff Joe Arpaio was stopping and frisking people, he was in favor of that. That's a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment. So how are you going to suggest that Trump is in favor of correcting the legal system when he's in favor of violations of it? And by the way, Sheriff Joe Arpaio, in effort to stave off illegal immigration down in Arizona, was ordering his deputies to stop anybody brown, anyone that looked Hispanic, and giving them the right to demand paperwork to prove that they had, residency or legal citizenship to be here in America. So anyone that was of Hispanic descent could be stopped under Sheriff Joe Arpaio's orders. He was not only arrested for that, talking about the sheriff, he was convicted of it and about to be sentenced to prison for violating the Fourth Amendment rights of so many Americans. Because you got to realize his deputies were stopping American citizens. You look Mexican, just stopping you and demanding you show paperwork, a clear violation of their Bill of Rights. He was arrested, convicted, about to be sentenced, and Trump pardoned him. Pardoned a clear criminal of folks' civil rights. Hundreds of folks losing their civil rights to him. And Trump pardoned them. So when you say Trump was going to correct the legal system, that don't sound like that. That doesn't sound like he was doing that. Sheriff Joe Arpaio would qualify as the swamp, and Trump pardoned him. Sheriff Joe Arpaio is on the streets today a free man because of President Trump. That's not draining the swamp. That's just information that the right don't talk about. Same thing with Rudolph Giuliani. He also was stopping and frisking people in New York. It brought down crime. No doubt it brought down crime. But the New York City Police Department admitted that a lot of innocent minorities were targeted and mistreated because of that. How'd you like to just be walking home from work one day and all of a sudden the cops pull you over and hem you up in front of strangers, relatives? You walking down a major city block, Manhattan, you're in the Bronx somewhere, and all of a sudden the cops are on you, going through your pockets and shit. You ain't done nothing wrong. You start asking questions. Maybe the cop is nice. Maybe they escalate the situation and then start getting mad that you're asking questions. You see where this could all go wrong? For a person that's done nothing wrong at all, just happened to fit whatever the cops were looking for. Stopping brown people, stopping white people, stopping women, stopping men, whatever they decide to stop, they had a right to do that. If you're for the Second Amendment and you're not for the Fourth Amendment, you're not in favor of the Constitution. You're just picking out what you like and what you don't like. But when you say that Trump is here to defend and fix the legal system, Not if you favoring that shit, you're not. Not if you're favoring that. People don't like to hear the truth. Truth hurts. They get defensive, is what we are seeing now, says Miss Love. Fair enough. That happens on both sides. I don't disagree with that at all, because some of this stuff going on at some of these universities in regards to the way they're viewing the Jewish people and things like that, it's making liberals look bad as well. Some people, you are correct, don't like hearing the truth. And it absolutely applies if you're speaking ill of Trump, whether you're a liberal, Republican, whatever the hell your affiliation is. As Trump rightfully stated, people don't like to hear bad things about me. Saying something bad about Trump can cost you your whole political career. It is as simple as that. Looking in the comments, Arizona came to their senses. Yeah. Looks that way. Looks that way. I think Kerry Lake, though, who lost the governor's run in the red wave of last year, is now seeking to be an Arizona senator. I don't know if they've completely, as you say, came to their senses or decided to go blue. I don't see Arizona as a completely blue state, particularly with the border issues. So we'll see, though. We'll see. Hey, man, we don't always agree, but wishing you a blessed holiday and Christmas, says American politics. You know something? I do appreciate that. Absolute happy holidays and Merry Christmas to all you folks as well. And you know how we run the program. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. We're never here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to listen to what you have to say. That's why on this program, it's always about free speech. I welcome disagreements all the time. American politics, definitely appreciate that comment. Merry Christmas, Jason. Crystal, I do see that, appreciate that. He established, wait a minute, what does that say? He established world peace. Watch the news. You'll be fed lies. Nothing good about the opposition. Who established world peace? I need to know that. Are you suggesting that Trump, I can't even get it out. Are you suggesting that Trump established world peace? We didn't have a lot of major civil conflicts under Trump, but world peace. Do you realize the leap you have to take to get from what we had between 2017 and 2021 to enter the realm of world peace? That is beyond a stretch. That's a whole bridge you just put in there. Wow. Read this, my friend. Revolution is coming in 2024. Depends on your definition of revolution. Yikes. Let's move the program. I didn't realize the box was up, but now that we see it, let's make it happen. Real life would be nice. I like that. I like that. Good evening. Real life would be nice if the box works here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, like George Bush at the rubble of 9/11. What's going on?
Oh, not much. Just working here in Arizona. Yeah, Carrie Lake. I don't know what she's doing, but we're trying to figure that out here in Arizona too. But just wanted to come on, wish everybody Merry Christmas.
Would you favor Merry Christmas to you as well? Would you favor Carrie Lake as a senator of your state?
No, a lot of us in law enforcement and first responders and stuff don't want her in our state.
Why not? Why not?
She is just way too power hungry, and instead of thinking decisions out, she's just overreacting on a lot of things. We need a lot of change. We need a leader in Arizona for sure. You know, we definitely need that, but we need someone that's going to be a leader for all, not just for one.
How do you like the liberal governor that you got that defeated her?
We don't.
You don't like her. Okay, that's fine. So
No.
how do you think your state views Trump? Now, you mentioned not a big fan of Carrie Lake. Trump is obviously a huge proponent of Carrie Lake. How does you think your state will go for Trump this time?
I don't think so. There's a lot of signs out all over the state. Build relations, not wall.
Wow.
They've got nicknames. Dump Trump instead of a dump truck. It's Dump Trump. There's all kinds of commercials on TV that's only being shown in Arizona. More close down by Nogales and Tucson, down around the 8, around the border area. There's a lot of Border Patrol commercials against Trump, but like I said, that's only being shown in certain parts of Arizona.
Okay,
There's a lot
this
of
is
stuff in Arizona not being shown to everybody.
this is fascinating. I like this. So I like political commercials. What I want to ask is, what are the Border Patrol agents that are saying that are against Trump? Because I talked to some of them. I was in Laredo, obviously in Texas, different state. But I talked to 5 Hispanics back in 2017. I was on the Rio Grande at the river while they were patrolling and asked them, could I speak to them? They all spoke favorably of the wall back then. What are the border agents right now putting on television that's anti-Trump?
I mean, I think they have a lot of problems just with the wall because the wall's causing more crossings, according to them, on the front lines.
How?
And more new technology of getting things over the wall. They're using drones now. They're using remote control RC helicopters and planes that they're building to bring over small quantities of drugs and dropping on the other side of the border. So I think it just gives them more to do and more to watch out for. I don't think it's because of the wall. I think it's just they're getting better technology of how to get over the wall.
Wow. Yeah, I never thought about that, but because I fly drones myself. In fact, here's one of my babies right here. And yeah, you certainly could. I mean, I don't know about. I could probably pick up about a kilo with that. I could probably get 2 pounds under that. Yep. But yeah, certainly when you got cartel money, you could certainly buy some serious equipment, and that drone right there will do about 40 miles an hour. And that's not even I think I paid maybe $800-900 for that back in the day. But yeah, a good quality drone. Right. Yeah, you could bring a lot of drugs over with that. I never thought about that.
Yeah, and then Lucasville is a border going over the way to the Arizona Ocean, we call it. Rocky Point, Penasco, but that has been closed. It probably will not open back up.
Wow. It's crazy when you say they're showing stuff you only hear in Arizona, because I watch a lot of right-wing media, and I'm just going to tell you, if I went by the media that I watch, I would think Arizona was in the tank for Trump. I would think that Biden had no chance with Arizona come next year. So you're saying you're seeing all kinds of dump Trump. What was the other one you said you're seeing?
No wall, don't build walls, build relations, and dump Trump.
Wow. Oddly enough, there are tons of Trump signs in there. Where are the Biden signs, though? I get that folks don't like Trump, dump Trump, and build walls and things, but where are the old Biden signs?
There is none in Arizona.
Wow. That ain't saying much for Biden, but I do appreciate you coming on. I do got to move it on. Go ahead.
I'll be out after, probably on Wednesday, going back to my division in northern Arizona. I'll get some pictures of some of the stuff I'm seeing, and I'll send them to you here in your private message. I'll send you some pictures.
Please do. Now, you said you are a member of law enforcement, right?
I am, yes.
Okay. All right. Welcome on the program anytime. Thank you for your service as well, because you got a hell of a job on your hands, man. I appreciate that. And Merry Christmas to you. Absolute. All right. Looking in the comments. Wow. That was different. I didn't expect that. I'll go back to the box, but I didn't expect that Arizona was, particularly from someone in law enforcement also, because I understand law enforcement tends to lean right, because the left is very critical of law enforcement and the right is more forgiving, with the exception of the FBI under Trump. Trump wants to disband the FBI. I don't know how that makes FBI agents feel, knowing that if Trump comes in, he's promising to cut off the top of leadership, and who knows where it may go from there. I don't know, but that was interesting. That was a very interesting conversation. Real quick before we go back to the box, tap the screen, get your boy up to 35,000. We got almost 300 of you folks in here still. As always, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. You certainly could be anywhere you want to be. Could be watching the Lions looking like they're going to defeat the Minnesota Vikings there, or doing something else. So I do appreciate you being here with me. We don't cherish and hang signs. We just show up when it's time to show up. Miss Love, I don't agree with that. I had an Obama t-shirt during the Obama presidency or the Obama campaign. We had plenty of signs. It's not that liberals don't have signs. It's liberals don't have a lot of interest in Biden. If Biden was Michelle Obama, I guarantee you there would be plenty of Michelle Obama signs out there. Going to the box. But as I always say, maybe I'm wrong. Joshua Harris Good evening. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hey,
Yes.
good evening.
you doing?
I'm doing good. Appreciate you holding on there, as Simply Red would say. So, what do you think? For 2024, do you really see this as the most important election of our lifetime?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Because, for one, I really do want to see Trump back in office. He did more good for us than Biden's ever done.
Okay.
And I'm tired of this inflation. I'm tired of the high tax and all this other stuff. I'm tired of everything. I'm tired of this. Our government sending monies to foreign countries and not taking care of their own people.
Okay, well, let me interrupt you in regard, because that's a very common complaint about sending money to the Ukraine and all these other foreign entities, and we should take care of Americans first. I want to ask you, because the Russia-Ukraine war just broke out in February of 2022.
I'm not talking about Ukraine, and I'm talking about, it's not just going to Ukraine.
Okay.
Biden was the one. I feel like Biden was the one that sponsored the war on Ukraine.
You believe he sponsored it? How?
Because he gave them the okay to do it.
How did he?
Because I've seen some stuff to where he was writing stuff for the attack on Jewish nations.
Well, you know, Russia and Ukraine, neither one of these nations are Jewish. Where's Jewish coming up in? Why is that coming into it?
Well, for one, I've seen some stuff where he was sending some stuff, like he's been sending stuff to Russia, and he's behind with Russia and them.
So
Because
let me ask you,
because
who is Biden allied with, Russia or Ukraine? You're saying he authorized or he gave.
he's allied with he's with Russia.
So why is he sending money to the Ukraine?
It's distraction.
What is distracting us from what?
From reality, what's really going on.
So how do you think Russia, if he's allied with Russia, how do you think Russia feels that their ally is funding their opposition in the Ukraine?
Because the Democrats are really on the opposite side of the Democrats are on the wrong side. They want people, they try to, I don't know how to explain this,
I believe that, but go ahead, keep going.
but the way I've been seeing it, the way Biden's been doing,
Okay.
he's behind all of it.
What now I have to ask you the obvious question. What is your evidence that Biden is working with the Russians? What makes you say that? Where have you seen that at?
Because there was because he was passing some bills, he was passing some stuff to attack other countries.
Where did you see that at?
It was on social media. And
Is it
it was on social media.
okay, is it an individual social media? Is it a news network social media? I mean, when you say it's on,
Network.
okay, what network?
It was Fox.
So, because you know Fox News also was saying that Ruby Freeman was passing votes, and Ruby Freeman is now, they're going to be some wealthy people now. Let me just say this. In regards to, you're saying that Fox News saw.
I don't know all the stories,
Okay.
but I just know what I've seen, what they put.
All right. Where I'm confused is when they had the Republican national debate. Now, I'll let you answer this because I want to see where your mind is on this. when they had the Republican national debate, I think Vivek Ramaswamy was the only one that did not favor continuing to support the Ukrainians. Why do you believe all of the traditional Republican contenders for president are also saying that what Biden is doing in helping out the Ukrainians is the right thing to do? Even Lindsey Graham and all of them are saying it. Why do you think they're saying it?
There's something that I don't understand, but from what I've known, there's been a lot of distractions.
Well, politics is all about distractions, but we don't want to get to the point where we're just throwing wild statements out there like Dominion is switching votes to Biden. Which is why the first thing I asked you was, what is the evidence of this? I don't see.
There was they were showing some like bills where they was sending over to Russia and stuff like that.
So we're sending money to Russia? What are we sending to Russia exactly?
It was some money, yes.
So we're funding both the Russians and the Ukrainians.
Yes.
I haven't heard this from anybody else but you, Joshua. You're the only, and I get nothing but strong.
I've been paying attention to everything.
Okay, all right, but I'll just say this. I would ask that if you could, if you see this, send it to my inbox. I want to see where you're getting this from, because I've had a hell of.
I have to go and pull it up and stuff because it's been on like different. It was on Texas. In Texas, I've seen it a lot.
Well, think of it this way, Joshua. That is such a big news story that if Biden is funding both sides of a war, similar to the Iran-Contra scandal during the Reagan administration, if that is the case, you shouldn't have a hard time finding evidence in different organizations, news media organizations that are saying. You should be able to easily send me something where that's coming from, and it should be some fairly big news media outlets.
The news.
Okay. All right, Joshua.
I've noticed,
go ahead.
Like when the riot, the BLM riot,
Okay.
and stuff, where they were vandalizing buildings.
Okay. Riots of 2020. What about them?
Where the buildings was on fire and stuff, and they said everything was a peaceful protest, and it wasn't.
Okay. So what's your point? I mean, we're on BLM. What point are you trying to make?
Some of the news are not covering what's really going on.
Okay.
So
Okay, I don't disagree with that. Some media outlets have an agenda. When it's something that benefits the right, they're going to play it, and the liberal media is not going to play it.
What it is, there is a lot. I think most of these people, the news outlets are trying to twist things around.
I don't disagree with that. Okay, well, I do got to move it on. Send me what you got, though. I would like to see what you got, but I do have.
I will. I'll pull it up where I've seen it, and I'll send it to you.
All right, fair enough. All right, go.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Absolutely, you too, and happy holidays if we don't talk before the turn of the calendar year. Go ahead and drop your side out, though, because I don't see the box there. So go ahead and drop your side out. Come on back anytime. Don't forget to send me what you got. Appreciate you coming on. Looking in the comments. Although white nationalists was found burning down store. Joshua, did you drop out?
I'm going in.
Okay. All right, because I want to bring on the next guest, but for some reason the box is acting weird. Looking in the comments, welcome to your typical MAGA voter. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think that all folks supporting President Trump have the same views as my last caller. I don't believe that. In fact, I'll tell you, I strongly do not believe that, for the simple fact that you would have a lot of folks on the right going ape shit if they believe Biden was funding both sides of that war. I've said it before. I talk to nothing but MAGA on the program damn near every weekday, and he's the first person I have ever heard suggests that Biden is funding both sides of their war. I've never, and I talked to a lot of folks that are vehemently against what Biden is doing on behalf of the Ukraine. And I've never heard any Republican politician that is against what Biden is doing or any Republican voter. He is the first person I've ever heard suggest that Biden is also sending money to Russia. I've never heard that before. Looking in the comments, Biden crime family 2024 for jail, says KY. I'm going to say this to you, the same thing I say to liberals suggesting that Trump should go to jail. You got to get the man his day in court. Biden has not been charged with a single crime yet. So suggesting that he goes to jail is beyond optimistic. Hell, many folks believe that Trump is not even going to see the inside of any type of jail, but Biden ain't even been charged with a crime. Very similar to lock her up with Hillary Clinton. How can you lock somebody up that hasn't even been indicted for anything? No chance. Going back to the box. Greatest conspiracy theory of the year. It's big. I had never heard that before. Keith, going back to the box. I had never heard someone suggest that Biden funded both sides of the war. Good evening, Keith.
How's it going, Tim? Long time.
Appreciate that. Appreciate you coming on. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you. Did you hear my last caller?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm gonna hold my opinions to myself.
Now, let me make sure I get your. Now, you lean right or do you lean left?
I'm a centrist.
Okay. Who'd you vote for in the last election?
I didn't. I worked the polls, and because I was inputting the ballots, I voted for propositions only. I didn't vote for, because of everything that had gone on in the previous election. I didn't, there was so much.
You were importing the ballots. Have you ever auditioned for 2,000 Mules?
No.
Who did you vote for in 16?
I was inputting the ballots into the machines.
All right. Who did you go with 2016? Hillary versus Trump.
I actually voted for Trump.
Okay. But you didn't.
I didn't like Hillary at the time.
Even though you didn't vote in the 2020 election, if you had, who did you favor between Trump and Biden?
Well, I didn't care for either one of them. That was the problem. By that point, it had become so toxic.
But wait a minute.
You know what I mean?
You voted for Trump in 16, but you felt you didn't care for either one of them in 2020. So you didn't favor Trump's 4 years. He didn't do a good job. You didn't like what you seen?
I didn't like what I seen as a person.
Explain.
Well, he's like his Twitter and all of his rhetoric, and where's the civility of a presidency? You know what I mean? I voted for Obama twice because I liked the person that he was. I didn't always agree with his policies, but he was a president.
Yeah.
I voted for Bush. I didn't like everything that he did, but he still acted like a president. It's like, where's that civility?
Well, since you brought up civility, I want to play something for you because I don't know if you were in the program earlier, and I want to get your opinion on this.
Fox News gave up on Ron DeSanctimonious. He's turned out to be a disaster. Now they're pushing Bird Brain. You know who that is? Nikki Haley. They just haven't learned, and probably they never will. It's just not happening. Kim Reynolds of Iowa has gone from a popular governor to the most unpopular governor in the entire United States of America. Not an easy feat.
Civility. What say you?
Yeah, there is none. Like this name calling and all of this stuff, I can't stand that. It just, and at the same time that he does all of this, I also don't like what Colorado is doing right now. I couldn't stand it when the right, kept on saying there's election interference for the last couple of years. And I was like, just let it go.
So
now I think, well, what are you doing right now? You're doing it in plain sight, in the middle of the day. The sun is shining. You're not stopping him. You're stopping the American voters, is what you're doing.
But wait a minute, I have to push back. And real quick in the comments, Frank Marino, when you talked about the tweets and the lack of civility, responds by saying crybaby. But what I want to ask you in regards to your suggestion that Colorado is, going against the will of the people, is it possible that maybe he actually did violate the 14th Amendment, or are they just making that up?
It's why not let the voters decide? Like, for better or for worse, let the people decide.
But that's not. But Keith, that's not how it works. If you actually commit a crime, we never vote on whether a person is guilty of a crime or not. If you commit a crime, you get charged for it.
But it looks bad when you have the Supreme Court of Colorado that's all Democrats doing this shit. It doesn't look good.
Well, in regards to, but in regards to you suggesting that it doesn't look good because it's a Democratic Supreme Court of Colorado, do you think it would look any better if a Republican Supreme Court did it? They would just become rhinos.
Exactly. What's going to happen when they take it to the actual Supreme Court and the Republicans on the Supreme Court overturn this shit?
Yeah.
It's going to be the same thing. This is the toxicity of America nowadays.
But
it's become so political.
But where I'm confused with, though, if we do what you suggested and let the voters decide, then why have the 14th Amendment at all? I mean, basically, you should just have an election. I mean, then there's no need to have a 14th Amendment if you're not going to hold anybody accountable. We're going to have an election no matter if he violated the 14th Amendment or not. That was already going to happen. So why even have the 14th Amendment there in place?
I don't know. I don't know where this is going to end up at. It's going to get even uglier before it gets better. It's like we're going to have the most toxic election in my lifetime in any election that I've ever seen in America.
What if he wins? You think the country will get better?
No, it's going to be Trump 2.0.
Meaning?
It's going to be the same exact rhetoric that we had before. It's going to be the same exact divisiveness that we had before. Like his ego is going to go through the roof, right?
Let me ask you this, because
if he wins.
I hear what you. Let me ask you this, because you're talking about his ego and how divisive he is and how things get. Now you voted for Trump 1.0. If you could go back in time, would he still get your vote?
If I could go back you can't think like that. You know what I mean? We obviously are.
Yeah, obviously we're just shooting the shit. I get it. You're right. You can't go back in time. But I'm just saying, at all.
Would Hillary have been a better choice? Probably.
Yeah. That's what I was asking. So to some degree, you regret your vote for Trump.
Because at least there would have been civility there.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been, we would have had to listen. But would Trump have gotten elected in 2020?
Depends on what Hillary did. Depends on how.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I will say this. I don't know. Well, we know the economy because folks point out that Trump inherited a good economy from Obama. So Hillary Clinton would have inherited a decent economy. Now, she may have ruined it. We don't know. But because that's Trump's strong point is the economy. We know divisiveness is not his strong point. It's always the economy. So with Hillary inheriting a good economy also, that would help her potentially getting reelected if she kept the economy good the same way Trump did. I do believe she would have offered a more unified message on COVID. I think that Trump's case, whether you're for vax or not, or however you feel about COVID, Trump was very two-sided on COVID. Keep everything open, but get vaccinated. So I do believe she would have handled that better. So my guess is she probably would have got a second term.
Yeah, probably, maybe.
Yeah.
The whole COVID thing really got really ugly. That didn't help anything out.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. If Trump had came out and said, look, this hasn't been tested very much, and look, And I think Trump's biggest problem with COVID is he was trying to deal with two different things. One, he knew the economy was his strong point going into the 2020 election. So he wanted to have that there. But you got the CDC and everybody else, Dr. Fauci saying shut everything down. So he's trying to, how can I keep a good economy and at the same time get everybody, under what they're recommending for COVID, which is get vaccinated, stay indoors. So he's offering these two-sided messages. He's going on television with Dr. Fauci during the daytime and letting Dr. Fauci give everybody advice. Then at night, he's holding rallies and letting everybody shout, fire Dr. Fauci. And then going on the TV the next day and repeating the whole process over. So with Trump, the mixed messaging, which still lives to this day in MAGA, for instance, where Trump can go on stage and say, I think you should get vaccinated. It works. And his supporters are booing him. So I think Hillary Clinton would have did a better job with the pandemic for sure.
I think what people need to listen to is the people that work side by side with Trump and how much they bash him. And it's not one person. It's like dozens and dozens and dozens of people that say this person is so toxic. Like he didn't listen to the generals. Like that's an issue. I'm a veteran. I worked for the military for 14 years of my life.
Appreciate it.
When you're not listening to like the military generals on what's going on in the world, and you have this attitude of I know better than the generals.
He didn't have the attitude. He actually gave the quote. He actually said exactly what you're saying. I know better. I know more what's going on the ground than the generals. He actually said that.
I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, these guys are living it 24/7. You don't know what's like. No, you don't know more than they do.
Yeah.
It's like you've got other shit on your plate. They're living this world, and they're giving you what's going on the planet.
Well, but here, in regards to the comment that the folks in the military know more, particularly the generals know more than what Trump knows. In the comments, Frank Marino says, come on, man, the generals was all corrupt and still are. So Trump is not corrupt, and he knows more because these generals are corrupt. There's a lot of people that believe what Frank Marino in the comments just said. How do you respond to that?
There's always going to be corruption on every level in every branch of, like, I don't care where you are, I don't care where you work, I don't care what form of government. I've worked for cities, I've worked for counties, I've worked for feds. There's corruption everywhere. I don't care whether it's school districts, the police departments, the fire departments, I don't care what it is. Every corporation on the planet, it's human beings. Yeah. Human beings are flawed. Yeah. They're flawed.
Don't disagree with that, but at the same time, understand folks who support Trump believe he is the non-flawed individual. He is there to get rid of all of the flaws, to drain the swamp. That's what a lot of folks believe. I'll give you the last word, though. Appreciate your service. Definitely. Merry Christmas. Good to hear from you again. So at the end of the day, most important election of our lifetime. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't. Because it's the perspective. You can't put, gas is $2 more and eggs are expensive compared to World War II atomic bombs, fighting Germany and atomic supremacy compared to this.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
It's all relative. Like, we can say that right now, this is so important because we can't put ourselves in the mindset of when in 1927 during when everyone was waiting in food lines.
Great Depression, yeah.
We can't put ourselves in the mindset of, going back through time when in slavery days. We can't put ourselves back in time. It's easy to
Okay, let me interrupt. Now, you're making excellent points in regards to things throughout history. But what about what's in the monitor of our lifetime? Do you think this is
No, in my lifetime, no, because I'm going to be 59 next week. I remember during the Carter administration when you had to fill up gas on certain days compared to your license plate. And I remember sitting in the car with my dad, and the gas lines were literally 5 miles long. You waited for hours for gasoline, and gasoline ran out. And if anybody thinks that that's made up, you need to get on Google.
It's on video. Yes, you can go on YouTube and see the
That
clips.
was
Yeah.
a thing back in the 70s.
All right, you hitting home runs today. I like that perspective because hell, even I started out believing it's the most important election of our lifetime. I still,
That was during the oil embargoes. Do you remember that stuff?
yeah, I remember all of that. But what about the pushback in suggesting that folks on the left believe Trump is a threat to democracy, not fuel availability? How do you see Trump as a threat to democracy?
I still would like to hope that in our checks and balances system in America, that we can hold like that balance against any single person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We did it for 4 years. Like, if he would have become president, we could still do it again. You know what I mean?
All right, appreciate it. Well, one last question before I'm moving on. In regards to suggesting it's not the most important election of our lifetime, second most, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We meeting in the middle. And listen, I do remember, I'm not quite your age, but I was a young man at the time, but I do remember in Chicago, the Sun-Times newspaper, front of it saying, "Weeping says Carter." He had just lost that election to Reagan in late 1979. I do remember that. "Weeping says Carter" was the headline on the Chicago Sun-Times newspaper. Got to move it on. Not the most important, but the second. Fair enough. Appreciate that, Keith.
Tim.
Absolutely. You too. Yeah, you too. Thank you. Looking in the comments, President Trump brought peace to the world. Frank, no way you believe that. No way you believe Trump brought peace to the world. I mean, he dropped 59 tomahawks in Syria. That's not peace. He was threatening to annihilate North Korea. Did he say we had to totally destroy? He didn't bring peace to the world. Now, if you're scared, excuse me, let's say, for instance, some folks on the right say people respected Trump and they knew not to act up under Trump because he would beat that ass. Okay, you're Suge Knight and you got everybody scared of you and they're not doing anything wrong. That's not peace. That's not peace. You just got everybody frightened of you. That's what folks on the right, some of my MAGA folks believe, is that people didn't act up because they knew Trump would get in that ass. That's not peace. That's like having a battered wife at the house where she doesn't do anything wrong because she's scared you're going to beat her. That's not peace. Peace would be everybody is now trading with each other, import exports going great. That's peace. We didn't get that under Trump. You just did not have any military conflicts. But Trump was constantly talking about Iran was an enemy, North Korea was an enemy, even though he met with the guy. I mean, we didn't have peace. We just didn't have conflict. Looking in the comments, Trump didn't get in anyone's ass. He's a phony. Nothing but a tough talker, says Double Up. No, he didn't. He didn't get in anyone's ass. I'm just simply suggesting that many folks believe that nations did not rise against other nations because folks who support Trump believe they didn't do it because they thought he would get in that ass. I'm not saying he did, but I'm saying that's the mindset. Going to the box. We'll keep it moving with, I believe William was holding on there. We're asking that question, most important election of our lifetime. My last caller made some really good points in pushing back against that. But William, good afternoon, or good evening, welcome to the program. What do you think? Most important election of our lifetime?
Well, I kind of agree with what the last caller had to say. I don't really necessarily think it's the most important. I think it's probably going to be the most. This election is going to kind of remind the results when they come in. It's going to kind of remind me somewhat of the O.J. Simpson trials.
Oh shit!
The nation's going to be in disbelief, and the other's going to be clapping and happy. And it doesn't really matter if Donald Trump wins or if Biden wins. You're going to have that same reaction. in either case, you're going to have a lot of. I'm not 100% sure what's going to be the outcome when that happens. It's going to be possibly a lot of chaos. It's just, it's something to think about.
Which one do you think could? And you can give either one, either side of this. We'll tackle whatever you say. I'm not going to block you for whatever your point is. But which one do you think could lead to more chaos? A Trump victory or a Biden victory? In other words, if Biden wins, the right is not going to be happy. If Trump wins, the left is going to not be happy. Which one of these scenarios do you think would lead to the most chaos in this country?
Well, just judging from what I hear and talking with people and from what I hear with all the platforms on social media, I mean, I think it's really, Tim, it's about 50-50 either way. I mean, wow. I think, honestly, either side would be is upset and vocal and even more so than just vocal about the fact that their candidate did not win, whether that be the Democratic side or the Republican side.
What about in regards to what happened in 2020? Let's say, for instance, Biden gets elected again. Do you think Trump would be willing to concede the election, or do you think there's a likelihood of him suggesting it was stolen again?
Well, I mean, on that, you know how Donald Trump can be. So, I mean, if it were close, I think surely he would say it was stolen again. I'm sure. I mean, if it was more like the general vote was, more like 60-40, because last time it was actually the last 2 or 3 presidential elections have been very close. I mean, almost 50-50, and it's actually been won by the electoral vote. So, but I think if the election is close, with the popular vote, either candidate is going to contest and say it was stolen, it was rigged, some gerrymongering going on of some sort.
Yeah, but it's a difference between gerrymongering as opposed to saying that the Democrats were, the voting machines were switching votes to Biden and dead people were voting, things like that. I mean, he took it way beyond, gerrymongering claims or what Al Gore was suggesting about hanging chads. What Trump suggested is that the liberals were working in concert from state to state, from governor all the way down to city council member. They all were working in concert to steal the election from him. Like it was a highly organized machine of fraud. I think that goes well beyond what Hillary Clinton or Al Gore was saying.
Well, yeah, Al Gore, he accused, I remember we came up with expressions I'd never heard, the Dimple Chad, the President Chad, all kind of stuff in Florida in that particular election. But
keep in mind what Al Gore was suggesting is in one state. Trump was suggesting that this was happening nationwide, that liberals all across this country, down to simple truck drivers, hiding ballots in rivers and dead. I mean, it was just like the entire liberal body was involved in this cheating scam against him.
I still think, in my opinion, I mean, and of course this is just my opinion, but I think if the election was close as far as the general population, I think either side, and not only just the in this case Donald Trump and Joe Biden, but also the voters would be screaming, "It's rigged! It's rigged!"
Yeah, but you do realize Trump was screaming it was rigged before the votes even came in. Trump was in power, in control of the FBI and the CIA and all of the 3-letter organizations, and yet he's still saying the election is rigged. How does that work?
Well, he lost, so of course he was going to say it was rigged. I mean, that's kind of my point. I think whoever loses this election, if it's a close election, I think they will call foul. But
Biden is only, come next month, we come the 4th of January, we're talking only 10 months left to go. Biden is yet to say the election is rigged. Biden is not claiming the election is rigged. At this point, Trump was already saying Democrats are cheating and they're going to cheat and stuff like that. Where was he getting that from?
Well, I'm just kind of basing this maybe, Tim, more on the voters and maybe some of the other elections going on, like Stacey Abrams here in Georgia. I'm in Georgia, and Stacey Abrams, and I mean, she's still says that she lost it. She didn't really lose the election, the governor's election here in Georgia. I just see more and more of everybody, candidates, when they lose a somewhat close race, they cry foul. And I just, in my opinion, I believe if Biden were to lose, he'd want a full-scale investigation.
Yeah, but even with Stacey Abrams, you're correct that she's saying the election, didn't go her way. She's not blaming the average Republican voter Trump was blaming the average liberal, dead people voting, people, stuffing ballots. He's blaming it all the way down to the low liberal on the totem pole. Stacey Abrams is suggesting that, Governor Kemp in your state of Georgia, or suggesting that there are gerrymandering votes and things like that. That's at the legislative, at the political level. She's not accusing the average Republican voter of cheating and going to mailboxes at 2 a.m. and things like that. Trump is making it sound like, 81 million votes for Biden? He's making it sound like the average individual, the grandma, voted or fell. He's making it sound like all of the Democratic voters are in this scheme.
Well, I think somebody like Donald Trump with his type personality, he's obviously going to be a lot more vocal about it, and he's not going. Yeah, he's going to jump on his Twitter or X now and scream, I was robbed, or whatever. But I still do believe that all other candidates, if it's a close election, I still believe that they would make accusations as well, and they would want to have a recount or an investigation or something. Because this election, like I said, I don't consider it to be the most important election ever, but this election is certainly very controversial and has a lot of people up in arms about a lot of things, from the inflation, the worried about our Second Amendment right, a lot of things that people feel that are at stake. And so, tension is high and emotions are high. And if it's a close election, I think everybody's it doesn't really matter if it's Democrat or Republican. I think they're going to demand a
it is nothing. Yeah, I don't.
They're probably going to say people lost mail-in votes, dead people voted. My grandmama voted twice. They're going to make all type of wild accusations.
But how do you, because you mentioned because the election was close, Cedric Whitaker on YouTube watching the program pointed out, in his opinion, 81 million to 74 million votes is not close. In other words, Biden did beat Trump. What is that, 7,000 votes or 7 million votes? He's suggesting that it wasn't close.
Well, 7 million votes is, 7 million votes doesn't sound necessarily close. But when you have a presidential election and you're having what were cast over around 200 million votes.
71 and 84, but it's at 155 million.
About 155. So when you're talking about a number like 155 to 156 million, 7 million can seem kind of like a small amount. But if you're thinking about it in dollars and cents, 7 million seems like a whole lot. So it's kind of about perspective on that. But yes.
How do you feel? How do you feel about the fact that so many folks that actually worked on the Trump campaign have actually pled guilty to cheating in the election? All of these fake electors in Georgia, Michigan, Arizona, where they've actually pled guilty to, Wisconsin. Do you believe it's possible that the Republicans were actually cheating? They're pleading guilty to this stuff. It's not an accusation. They're pleading guilty and admitting it.
Unfortunately, and I believe this in our government this day and time, that anyone found wrongdoing in elections or any other shenanigans going on within our government, taking money underneath the table, taking bribes, looking out after their own interests rather than the people that elected them and put them in office. Unfortunately, I'm apt to believe any of that. Really, I really am.
When you say apt to believe it, Are you saying you don't believe it? I mean, do you believe the Republicans to such a large number that they were trying to get fake elect? Do you believe they cheated in the 2020 election?
I believe it's very possible. Well, like I said, I believe it's I would need proof and facts to know. I mean, before.
Well, wait a minute. William, you say you need proof and facts. They pled guilty to it in court, and some of them even apologized for it.
Well, for those that pled guilty, I mean, and if they did it, I mean, well, yes, of course, I believe it.
All right,
I mean,
that's
if
what
somebody is found with their hand in the cookie jar, I believe it. You know,
Okay.
you can't dispute that, and then, you know, it's like I said, and the way our government has been. Well, it's probably been this way a long time. It's just now more things come to light, but bribes and under the table deals and the meeting after the meeting when decisions are really made and things like that. You know, it's just I'm really not surprised at anything that comes forward in our government anymore, to be honest with you.
I agree that our government can be quite twisted, but what I am surprised when folks on the right are saying the Democrats overwhelmingly cheated, and then you got all these Republicans pleading guilty to the exact crime. That does surprise me because that's what they say, don't cast stones in a glass house. When you got all these folks coming forward and saying, yeah, I did it and I'm sorry, that looks bad when you're accusing the other side of stealing this election from you. And these aren't just citizens stuffing ballots. These are people that worked on the election. They were literally trying to pass fraudulent documents to steal the election or not certified and coming out in court and admitting they did it.
Yeah, it's kind of the definition of hypocrisy when you're making those accusations, but you're doing it yourself. I mean, yeah. I agree with you.
Fair enough. I got to move it on, though, William. Definitely a pleasure. Come on back anytime.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Absolutely, you do too. Merry Christmas to you and yours. And if I don't talk to you before the New Year's, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Absolutely. Looking in the comments, what did somebody say? William, what? I didn't see it. But anyway, going back to the box, it's been shown whatever the Democrats accuse Republicans of, they're already doing. So, well, when we talk about the fake electors, that's not the Democrats accusing the Republicans of that. Republicans have pled guilty to that. They've been caught doing that in Republican states. Georgia, for instance, that the governor of Georgia is a Republican. So it's not, the Democrats aren't accusing them of this. They're admitting it. They've come out and admitted it. So I don't know if I would totally agree that the Democrats are accusing the Republicans of doing things when secretly the Democrats are doing it. They're pleading guilty. So that takes it to a whole different level. They actually are pleading guilty to it. Trump 2024, make America great again. I see that in the comments. Tap the screen. You know this program always will be MAGA friendly. MAGA will always be my preferred guest. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program as well. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to all of you folks. 5 purple states made the difference, says WEUG. Well, I never saw Georgia as a purple state until Trump got elected. That was not a purple state. Pennsylvania, yeah. Wisconsin, yeah. And keep in mind, Trump almost lost North Carolina too. And that's something that I have an issue with because Trump was claiming that the Democrats were cheating in North Carolina as well. For a time there, Biden was leading in North Carolina. And Trump was claiming that the liberals were cheating in North Carolina. And then Trump ekes out a small victory. I think he won the state of North Carolina by less than 30,000 votes. And all of a sudden, all claims of cheating disappeared. This is the point I've been trying to make to a lot of my beloved MAGA followers is that what Trump should have did is requested a 50-state audit of all the states, not just where you lost at. Because what he did in North Carolina simply made him look like, I don't really care if there's cheating unless I lose. Then I care. Because he's on video continuing to complain that they're cheating in North Carolina. And then he wins and there is no concern with what happened in North Carolina at all. Which means that you're willing to take electoral college votes from a state if there's fraud. According to your own statement, you're fine with it once you won. Also, the state of Pennsylvania made changes to the way you could vote, citing the pandemic. Texas, on behalf of Trump, sued Pennsylvania, stating that the changes Pennsylvania made to the way you can vote are unconstitutional. During the course of that lawsuit, the governor of Montana appeared on This Week with George Stephanopoulos and stated, "We made the exact same changes in our state that Pennsylvania made. And Trump and his campaign are not suing us because he won here." So that's a big problem, is that you don't come across as looking like a president that wants to secure voter integrity. You look like you just want to win. I don't care about fraud if it works in my favor. I only care about it when I lose to it. That can make any judge look at you with suspicion or lack of credibility. The fact that you can show another state did the same thing as Pennsylvania and you're not suing them, anywhere you win, you don't care about the fraud. And I pointed out, and I'll go back to the box shortly, but also after watching 2,000 Mules a half dozen times and doing live streams on that, where you look at the investigations that Dinesh D'Souza, the creator of that movie or documentary, whatever you want to call it, the way he was doing his own footwork. You go to Michigan, you're looking in Detroit. You go to Wisconsin, you're looking in Milwaukee. You go to Arizona, you're looking in Phoenix. You go to Georgia, you're looking in Atlanta. You're in Pennsylvania, you're over in Philadelphia, you're over in Pittsburgh. Appreciate that, William. Thank you. Enjoyed that conversation, and Merry Christmas. Thank you. The point I'm trying to make is you're going to find fraud when you're only looking in specific areas to fit a narrative. What happened in Savannah, Georgia? Any idea what was going on in La Crosse, Wisconsin? I don't know. I didn't go to those areas. I only thought Democrats were cheating, so I only did all my investigations in Democratic areas. Well, then your investigation is not thorough. Is there any possibility that some of the things that Dinesh D'Souza saw happening in Atlanta happened in Savannah? We don't know. He didn't go there. So once again, for Trump's claims to have better credibility, there should have been a wider audit than just going specifically to Democratic areas. Because now we have the hindsight and literal proof by way of guilty pleas that Republicans were actively cheating in that election too. So there is no defense for why the Republicans only did investigations in liberal areas. We now know for a fact that there was Republican cheating going on as well. And once again, none of those areas were investigated by Trump and his people. None of them were. And now we know there was cheating in some of those areas. So that kills any credibility when you go to court claiming the other side is cheating, and we can show all of this Republican cheating that you never caught in your dragnet because you didn't go to any of those places. Looking in the comments, Biden don't even know what he was taught in grade school, says Daniel. You know, for Biden to be doing so poorly, he sure gets blamed for a lot of shit. If he doesn't know where he's at, then why are you blaming him for everything? Going to the box, Faceless American. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. We're asking that question, most important election in our lifetime. What say you, Faceless? Merry Christmas. Faceless.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Good.
Merry Christmas to you too.
Appreciate it.
You know, I just wanted to pop on, see what you were doing today. It's been a while since I talked to you.
Good to have you on. And what we were actually.
I don't think it's one or the other. It's.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, we got a delay or something going on. I'll let you
I
speak.
don't think it's the most important election of our life. Okay. I think it's the most important election of our lifetime. I think that people need to locally run for office locally. We want to make change. Local elections, state elections are where the power's at. Because if you get what the people in each.
All right. Apparently, the reason we got a delay. Is it looks like your signal, Faceless. If you want to come back in, but you had a very poor signal, and that's why there was a delay in all those problems. It shows like a bar for your signal is like about half of a bar or something, and it made the conversation virtually impossible when you were starting to break up. Looking in the comments, Keep It Real says 430 5 seats open in the House of Representatives, 2024 voting Democrats. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Just saw y'all going to do, what it is, just saw y'all going to do is be ready to fight. If Trump don't win, that's all y'all ever do. You believe that if Trump doesn't win, MAGA, folks on the right are going to get violent? Do you believe that's possible? Interesting. Wow. You know, it could be crazy because, like somebody pointed out, the liberals, listen, if Trump wins, the liberals aren't going to be happy either. So I do believe on election night, might be a good idea to stay indoors. Might be a good idea to stay indoors. I'm just going to tell you, we don't want it to be like another version of the Purge or something crazy. Congressional Republicans have done horribly this term. There are congressional Republicans saying that they have not accomplished much. And we can debate it, but I think the problem is, and I know it's going to make me sound biased, but I do believe this, Trump is sucking all the air out of the room. A lot of them are too busy defending what Trump is going through. They believe the liberals are attacking Trump and they're circling the wagons to defend Trump. And yeah, you're right, they're not accomplishing much. What happened to McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, that was on behalf of Trump. Some of the hard further right members of the Republican Congress got rid of the man. Yeah, and I do agree that they're not accomplishing as much as they should be because they are not unified. They are divided. There's a lot of Republican Congress people who believe what happened with McCarthy at the hands of Matt Gaetz was wrong. There's a lot of infighting in the Republican Party, so I don't disagree with that. And suggested they're trying to impeach Biden, that too. That's not going to, listen, this is what I've been saying before, and I'll go back to the box. If you believe what's happening to Trump is wrong, it's a witch hunt, they're just trying to get the guy out of office, but you support what's going on with Biden, then you're okay with witch hunts. You just don't want it happening to Trump. Because what they're doing to Biden, there's no charges. They don't have anywhere near enough evidence to make that work. Up to the point where they asked him, what charge are you pursuing on Biden? And they couldn't answer it. Basically, it's an investigation to look and see if there's anything there. So if there's nothing, it's just a complete waste of time impeachment. And my guess is there's probably an 80 to 90% chance that's how it's going to end. With just absolutely nothing. But, hey, they did it to Trump, so we're okay doing it to them. That's kind of the mindset. You did it to Trump, we'll do it back to you. An eye for an eye type thing. Gates Orange Eagle. I don't know what that means. Going to the box. We'll keep it going with Big Dog. Most important election of our lifetime. Is that outrageous, or do you see there's some potential legitimacy to that? Impeach Biden 2024, says Cheeky Chops. Good luck with that. Let me, before I go to my next call, I'll just say this in regards to that comment on YouTube. If you impeach Biden, you get Kamala. She doesn't have any baggage at all. You get Kamala. And I would tell you this, even though there's not a lot of high poll numbers for Kamala, I actually believe the liberals might get behind Kamala more than they do Biden. She's younger. She's better well-spoken. She's obviously a minority on 2 different levels, a woman and African-American. Asian, you want to throw that in there as well. She would be better for the abortion debate. I actually believe that if you impeached Biden, it wouldn't help your case. I do believe that, but I could be wrong. Going back to the box. We'll keep it going. We'll try again here with Rodney Stanberry, I think it says there. Might be having some issues with the live stream in terms of the box. Kamala stands no chance. They will create something on Kamala too. Yeah, I agree they would create something, but I think it would be hard to create as many negatives on Kamala that you can present on Biden or Trump. It wouldn't even be close. The main negative of Kamala would be her handling of the border. And that would probably, just like when Mike Pence started running, there was not a lot of negatives to come up with. There's not a lot of negative. As vice president, you don't accumulate a lot of negatives. Just like when Biden ran for president after serving 8 years as vice president, there was not a lot to come up with. They didn't come up with a lot of negatives on Biden at all. So I don't think that Kamala would have a lot of negatives to come up with, other than saying, well, she ran California and California sucks. But anybody voting for California, that's going to bounce off of them when the opposition is Trump. That's not going to do much. Conservative 2024 says, yes, there was. I don't, well, then maybe I'm missing out. Give me some of Kamala's greatest hits in terms of negativity, things you could use to run against her. If she runs for president, what are some of Kamala's greatest hits? Because she's not going to be responsible for the economy or the Ukraine war, or any of that stuff. She's not involved in that. She's the VP. What are the greatest hits that you could throw out? Because we know what the ones are on Trump. You may dismiss them, but there's a whole fucking collection of greatest hits on Trump or say Biden, because they have records to run on now. What are Kamala's greatest hits? I don't, like I said, if I had them, I would throw them at you myself. And I see in the comments, Lorraine says, do your own research. Yeah, I bet you do want me to do my own research because there's nothing there. Look at it in the comments, do your own research. Fine, that's beautiful. It's amazing how much optics and gender and color of skin matters. That's how I know the world's getting nowhere soon. You wait till 2023 to suggest basing things on color and gender means the world's not getting anywhere. There's only been, if you draw a slide rule of America from 1776 to 2023, 250 plus years, how long has America been a country where color, skin color, and gender did not matter? Yet we continue to fester and become one of the best countries on earth. What do you mean? Think about it. How long from 1776 to 2023 has America been a country where the optics of gender and skin color did not matter? That is a new concept in this country. That is a very new concept in this country that just started taking place in our lifetime. In most of our lifetime, we were born during a time where color or skin color or gender mattered. That's a very new concept. Going back to the box, we'll go to fork out of here. I can't pronounce that, but color and skin color and gender not mattering. Wow. Okay. Save democracy. Stop fascism. Vote blue. Keep it. Yikes. Yikes.
All right.
Hey, good evening.
What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? Merry Christmas to you.
It's City said, man. This is my second account. I got knocked out on the first one. So
Oh shit!
how's it going, handsome?
I know how you feel. It happens to us all.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's crazy.
So what do you think? What do you think? You think this is the most important election of our lifetime?
Brother, come on. You know it is. I mean, come on. We've got a guy that has 4 indictments, 91 felonies. If this man is elected, our country will no longer exist. That means the president can do anything. You can do anything. You can do anything as president and get away with it. That's not good.
So how do you respond to folks that suggest we're fear mongering and he's not trying to take away democracy?
He's not. Well, what is he doing? I mean, he's already said what he's going to do when he becomes president again, right? He said he's going to weaponize the DOJ. He's going to ship people off to other countries that are Muslim. He is going. I mean,
Wait. Did he say that? He's going to. Now he talked about the biggest deportation in U.S. history, but did he say he was specifically going to go after Muslims?
Right.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, he heard. I mean, he actually said that. I mean, and then the people that his political opponents, he's going to weaponize the DOJ against them. I mean, this is insane, man.
Well, I gotta push back. Now, this is coming from Cheeky Chops on YouTube. He points out you're saying our country would no longer exist if Trump is elected, but he points out we've had 4 years of Trump and our country is still in place. So where are you getting that from?
But he made all the mistakes. Remember, he got people in there that pushed back against him. Do you think he's going to put anybody in there that's going to push back against him again? There were safeguards. People said, I am not going to do what you want me to do. Mike Pence said, I am not going to do that.
Yeah.
Mike Pence was his running mate.
But don't we still have those safeguards in place to some degree? He can't get rid of all of them in 4 years, can he?
Well, let me ask you a question. What is Tuberville doing with the generals that he's holding back? Now, he did let the other staff sergeants, staff members go. He said, I'm going to go ahead and let them go. But he still kept back the generals.
Yeah.
So if Trump can come in and win and get his own generals, make his own people that are sycophants that will listen to him, once you control the military, then any kind of uprising, I don't care what you say with all your poo-poos out there, you can't mess with our military. You know that.
Yeah. Do you think that Trump would try to take the military and use that for his own personal benefit?
What did he do with the DOJ? What did he do with the DOJ for 4 years? He had an attorney general, and that attorney general wasn't doing what he wanted. What did he do? He got rid of him and brought in Bill Barr.
He definitely did a lot of terminating of people. But here's another comment. Now, this is strong. I'm going to give it to you, and you give me whatever you want on it. Now, like I said, I don't block, ban, or censor anyone. But this comment on YouTube, once again, but damn, I want you to tackle this one. Now, this individual, Chicky Chop, says, people will tell themselves whatever they want to believe and believe it, especially blacks.
Oh, really? Well, I've had some white people come into lives telling me that Joe Biden is a racist. Now, you got white people telling black people that another white man's a racist. I know that, Handsome, you know who a racist is, and I know. I don't need anyone coming and telling me, oh, you don't need to trust this guy because of the 94 crime bill or because he said something back in the 70s. I got a man here that has a black vice president. I got a man here that worked under a black man for 8 years. I've got a man here that, as president, the only black woman in the Supreme Court ever. He did that.
Yeah, I will say this. I see in the comments, Faceless is saying, so Joe's not a racist. In regards to what he's saying here, in my opinion, there are some racially charged comments in Joe Biden's past. Racial jungle, the crime, but I don't believe vote for me or you ain't black is all that racist. But there are things in his past. But like what the caller is saying, most of the people pointing out and claiming that Joe Biden is a racist are not even black. The African-American community don't agree with that. There's not a lot of Hispanics saying that Biden is racist.
But Handsome, what does that tell you, Handsome? What does that tell you, man? How are you going to tell me who's racist, man?
Yeah.
I know. I've lived in this skin all my life. And let's believe, down south here, you know who's a racist and who's not. Because guess what? They don't slap you on the back and say, hey, buddy, how you doing? They tell you straight up they don't like you, and they use the hard ER while they do it.
Not all of them. No, not all of them. Some people are closeted racists because they have things to lose by coming out and being honest with it.
The Northerners, those are the people that have sense. You got some rednecks down here, buddy. Let me tell you, you go to South Georgia, you go to North Georgia where Marjorie Taylor Greene is at. They will let you know what they think about you.
Yeah. People who don't, some people do have something, like you own a company and like you said, if you're up north somewhere in a diverse area, you got too much to lose to be openly bigoted. But yeah, if you're in a, backwoods somewhere, you got a construction company that only services your small little backwoods town, you ain't got nothing to lose by telling the truth. So yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
And the thing is, I'm 60 years old. I just turned 60. My brother.
I'll let you continue. I just saw a funny comment. William said there's a lot of good. I just want to read this because William said in the comments there's a lot of good people in South Carolina. Does that not sound familiar?
Yeah. The thing is, man. And I've been saying this all my life, man. What the poor white people don't understand is they're just a rung ahead of us. All they have is their whiteness. If they got smart and said, you know what? I'm gonna go with these black people because they're trying to better their lives, and maybe as a whole we can make these rich people pay us livable wages, and maybe it'll make the country better. You know, we could have universal health care. We could have education for our youth. We can go to PhD like they have in Germany. But they won't do it because they can't get around that racism. The racism is keeping them down, brother.
That sounds like cutting off your nose to spite your face. You're saying that they would rather give up benefits even for themselves to prevent them from going to black people.
Well, look at it this way right here. They fought a civil war for rich people. 500,000 people died in that war, my brother. And you're not going to tell me they weren't 500,000 rich people.
Yeah. Good
And
point.
why did they fight that war, Handsome?
To
So they
maintain,
would not have to pay.
Yeah.
So they would not have to pay poor white people.
Yeah. All right.
How about that? We
All
were
right.
slaves. They didn't have to do a damn thing for us. They just said, hey, you're going to work, and you're going to work for the rest of your life. We're going to sell your family members. We're going to do all that. But that poor white person got nothing out of it. And what did they do right after the after the Civil War? Things went back to the same.
Yeah. Pretty much. They just found a different way to do it.
Bro, that's right. They put you in jail. You know, people think that slavery is over. It's not. Slavery is over in every sense except for prison.
Yeah.
They can treat you like a slave in prison, my brother. And guess what? Guess what the majority of people in prison are right now?
Same as they always been, black. I gotta move it on though, man. You just took all the optimism out of me for Christmas. Oh, you depressed me with that, but I don't disagree
I'm not
with it.
doing that, man. Hey, listen, man. Listen, brother. We can change it. We just need to get together and tell these people who are billionaires that you gotta pay your fair share. And that's I'm gonna leave it at that.
All right.
Have a good one, brother. Have a great holiday season. Happy New Year, okay?
Absolutely. Same to you. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Moving and real quick in the comments, somebody, I think it was William or somebody said, you know, is Biden racist? I think the problem with suggesting that Biden is, you know, intolerant or bigoted towards Hispanics or minorities or blacks, his opposition is Trump. I do believe that the case becomes harder to make on when you compare Biden to Trump. And I'll tell you why. When you look at Trump, people are bringing up, you know, he used to hang around rappers and things like that. He used to have affiliation with everybody from Jesse Jackson to Al Sharpton to Oprah. That's Trump before, that's going to be Trump before the 2000s, the 1990s, 1980s and back. The recent Trump is where all of the folks suggesting he's racist are coming from. Biden is just the opposite. If you look at Biden in recent times, he's actually hanging around a lot of black people, doing a lot for black people. It's the older Biden that fits the racial element. So if you look at both of these folks, it looks like Biden over time is becoming less intolerant and Trump is becoming more intolerant. And you don't have to take it from my explanation of it. Listen to what the defenders of Trump are saying. When they bring up the defense of Trump, hanging around rappers and all, they're bringing up the older Trump. When they bring up the antics, the racism of Biden, most of the stuff they're talking about is 20, 30 years old. So you can see it just in what people are saying. Biden appears to be becoming more familiar or more friendly to the minority community, and Trump seems to be becoming less. And that's coming from both sides of the aisle. Both sides. When you listen to the criticism of MAGA of Biden, most of the stuff they're bringing up, 15, 20, I think Vote For Me or You Ain't Black is the only recent thing that's coming up. It's Senator Byrd, who died in 2010. It's stuff like the crime bill from 1994, which is going to be 30 years ago come next year. It's nothing recent. It's nothing recent. And when they bring up the defense of Trump, it's all old stuff. When you listen to the liberals, however, everything they're talking about in terms of criticism of Trump, it's recent. They're not. Now, they may bring up the Central Park Five or him losing a law in regards to not renting to colored people. But most of the stuff the liberals are criticizing Trump on is pretty damn recent. Most of it happened during his presidency. Most of the stuff that the liberals are saying makes Trump racist, it's less than 10 years old. And when it comes to Biden, if you want to suggest that Biden is not a racist, for instance, you're going to do what my last caller did. You're going to bring up a Supreme Court justice, his VP. You're going to bring up he tried to pass the George Floyd crime bill. I mean, I'm just going to simply say, in regards to the claim that Biden right now in modern times is racist.
Mom and Dad are here.
Okay, I'll come up.
Dinner's almost ready.
All right. In regards to the claims that Biden right now, as we speak, is racist, it doesn't fit the optics. Even if the guy was intolerant as hell, the optics is he is surrounding himself with all of these minority and black people causes. Like I said, appointing a Supreme Court judge, he announced ahead of time that if he got elected president, he would appoint a black Supreme Court justice. That doesn't fit the claim that he's racist. Same thing with the vice president. It doesn't fit the claim. Even if he is racist, the optics don't match. So you have to go back to this crime bill and the vote for me anyway in black. There's nothing recent. It's all old stuff. And I think that that's what is not, that's why when you say that Biden is the racist one, it doesn't resonate very well with the African-American community. Because most of the stuff the African-American community is complaining about, Biden is at least giving it a listening ear, whereas the right is saying that all of this stuff is bullshit. You guys need to move on. This stuff ain't happening. Black Lives Matter is a terrorist outfit. Kick that son of a bitch, Colin Kaepernick, off the field. The resonating part is not there. And at least that's my take. I understand a lot of you folks have a difference of opinion. Anyhow, folks, unfortunately, it is Christmas dinner time. I do have to terminate the live. Just was advised to do that. I do appreciate you folks rolling with your boy on YouTube and TikTok. You guys have a wonderful holiday, and I will catch you. Might be tomorrow. Well, it won't be tomorrow. Maybe Tuesday. See you guys later. Appreciate you folks tuning in on YouTube as well. You know what I got to do. See you guys.